Welcome back to some Goodbye Volcano High. I'm Dear Darling, and we only have so much time of this world together. Let's make the most of it. Last time we were still continuing on the read story. We did the final choices which we needed for the LNL set. In the LNL session, we should theoretically have max affinity with read. We can't check though, unfortunately. And hopefully we haven't missed anything, because if we've missed literally 1 point of affinity with read, we can't see his final scene, which is crazy strict, in my opinion, but so be it. And honestly, most of last episode, I was just talking about cryptography to talk about maths in general. I don't know, I like maths. There's a lot of cool things I learned university-wise of maths. It's both a fascinating subject, but also very intense and difficult, I suppose, at the same time.
Thanks for coming, though.
Is it always Reed who arrives first?
Saves me.
It would be cool if it was a different character each time. I actually can't remember if that's true or not.
We're interrupting.
I don't think it's true though. I think Reed is always first, right?
Actually,
okay,
yeah.
so we're going to have a campfire scene, so we're actually going to get some new dialogue and stuff. I was going to be like, maybe I should talk more about maths, and I was like, what should I talk about? And I was like, oh, what if I did like a summarized proof of a four-color theorem? Because the story of a four-color theorem, I think, is always the most fascinating thing. So I guess we can talk about it until the campfire scene, because we don't have any decisions to make. But the four-color theorem is basically the theorem which states, if you're given like a map, how many different colors do you need to color all the countries in a different color, such that no two countries which border each other share a color, basically. So it's basically, can you color an atlas properly? There are some caveats that this doesn't apply, like, all the countries are like in one piece, basically. They can't be spread out over multiple different things. You know, we're not having France and French Guinea. Is that one which still belongs to France? I honestly can't remember necessarily off the top of my head, but you know, but it's not a country in parts which will have more more borders than physically possible. I think there's other sort of things as well. Like it has to be a graph which you can draw on like a 2D plane, I believe. There must be something else as well. I'm not sure if I can actually remember the entire proof off the top of my head.
We're still here.
But I'll do my best. But basically, what you do is, this is a problem with graph theory, which is my favourite branch of mathematics. But what you can do is, you instead of representing it like countries, represent each country with a point, like a circle. And then, if two countries share a border, then draw a line between them. And basically, it's rephrased the thing being like, what is the minimum amount of colours you need to colour all the circles in this graph, such that no two circles share a line and have the same color? And the answer to that is 4. You can very, very easily come up with solution graphs which break 1, 2, and 3 respectively. You know, like the Chrome logo itself is one which breaks. You need at least 4 colors to do so. But then the answer is like, well, you know, what about 4? Is there a counter example, or is there not? Like, can you prove it? And it turns out the proof is quite interesting. So I'm going to try and remember the proof, because I remember vague concepts about it, but I think it's something like basically make it a maximal graph, which basically means put as many edges in as you possibly can, such that no edges cross over, because we're not allowing edges to cross over. That means like you can actually draw it like in a physical sense. So you make it like a maximal graph, and then there's something called Euler's formula, or like one of Euler's formula, and he was kind of like popping off in the mathematics world, to be perfectly honest, with lots of different discoveries. But basically, it's a relationship between the number of vertices, aka the circles, edges, the lines between them, and faces, aka the shapes made after you trace out the edges of the thing. There's a relationship between them, which means that it's something like the number of vertices minus the faces plus the number of edges is always equal to 2 on a flat planar map. What do you do with that? That's a good question. I think you use that to prove that there will always be a vertex in a planar graph in a finite planar graph with 5 vertices or fewer, I believe, in a maximal planar graph. And you might be like, how do you prove that? I believe it's something you prove by strong induction. I can't quite recall. It's basically like you ignore one of the vertices, and then there's like a 4 coloring, I suppose, for this sort of thing, when you put the vertex back in. Oh no, that's it. If It's okay. The way you prove that part is you basically, if you assume the contrary, like that formula no longer holds anymore, and thus it must exist. And then it's like, okay, now to prove the Volcano theorem, you do it by strong induction, which basically means that if you can prove it for like all graphs of which have from one circle up to k amount of circles, if you can prove that if a Volcano theorem holds true for those ones. Oh, we actually can't choose Stella because we haven't made enough headway with her. If you can do it for all the ones up from 1 to k, and then you can prove that if that's true, you can do it for k plus 1, and that means it's true for every single number. Anyway, we'll go back to the Volcano theorem proof, I suppose, afterwards. So that's where we're leading on. Well, we've set up a structure. This is how we're going to prove a Volcano theorem. But for now, we're going to actually listen to Sage's story, because this is not something we've seen at the campfire scene. Hey, Sage. What's up, buddy? Sorry, Rosa, we never got to see your scene in the end.
So, that was a lot.
It was so much
You
maths.
doing okay? I don't blame you. I've never seen us fight like that.
The end of the world pushes people to the limit, you know?
I can't believe Naomi said all that stuff either.
Yeah. I mean, she made some points.
I guess, yeah. She didn't have to be a dick about it, though.
True.
I don't think she meant everything she said.
Also true.
Yeah, well, she better not have.
She's just frustrated. I think that part's on me.
Oh?
Yeah. So it's on me to fix it.
Oh, good. Because I don't think I can bake my way out of this one.
Interesting how this conversation is
you?
focusing on Naomi first
You
rather than
mean
Sage.
everything you said? Like, about Caldera Fest and having a future.
I think so. Honestly, I'm not really sure. It's easier to say that kind of stuff in grand speeches than it is in quiet moments.
The ability to improvise a grand speech off the top of your
mean,
head is also a fantastic
if I have
ability
to
to have, I
choose
feel like.
between my friends or Caldera Fest on my last day on Earth, I'll obviously choose my friends. But it still sucks to have to make the choice at all.
Very true,
Because it's
true,
been there
true.
for me. End of days.
Like, what would happen if it wasn't the end of the world, you know?
It's just like, I still can't wrap my head around it all. Like, it's senior year. The biggest thing I should be afraid of is hearing back from culinary schools. Not everything and everyone dying because of a meteor.
That's true. I didn't expect it to be
Yeah.
such a
I wish I was just stressed about going on tour. Not
more of a bleak conversation with Sage, to be honest.
I mean, you could still go on tour. And we're
That was a long pause.
not dead yet. So,
No, not without Trish and Reed. Not on my own. It's all
I still feel like
wanted,
you should do Fang,
but it's
to be
not
honest.
worth losing time with my friends. And all it took was the literal apocalypse for me to realize that.
But to be fair,
I
it's
hate
not that priority,
feeling
right?
like everything I did was for nothing.
Aw.
Same.
Wow, this is a surprisingly nihilistic conversation. I didn't
Maybe it
expect
wasn't
this.
for nothing.
What do you mean?
I thought that being successful was what I wanted from music, but honestly, it's always been fun for me, even when we sucked. As long as I had Trish and Reed with me, it was worth it. Is it possible that baking was still worth it for you?
Look at them
You might
relating
not be
over
professionally trained, but you're still amazing. And
hyperfixations.
I
I was trying to think of
people
what word
would
was.
literally murder for the last cookie on the tray.
I mean, I think it was. But I can't
Actually,
help
very cool dialogue.
it. Just still feels like a waste. You know?
The acknowledgement of both it can be
No
worth
one
it and
would
also
ever
still
say
feel
that your baking was a waste of time. And
the
you
valid
love it.
the emotions are still valid, you know?
Nothing you love is a waste.
Yeah. I love the process of putting it all together. And I love being able to serve the finished bake to my friends.
That's something
Aw.
the meteor can't take from you.
Yeah, you're right.
That feels like it ends a bit too suddenly. That's actually quite a cool dialogue to have with Sage. Very rare dialogues with Sage in the first place, but whenever he exposes his heart and his vulnerable side, I think they've always been quite fascinating, you know? Taste tester, see all extra content of Sage. That's actually crazy, really? I guess that means we've seen all the scenes with Sage. So we can't do it for Rosa. I don't think we've done it with Naomi, which is crazy, because I thought we'd done every Naomi option in the main playthrough. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Maybe I should have made a save. No, I can't make a save state, because I'd have to chase Rosa's dialogue all the way through. We can't even choose NASA because our affinity's not high enough. That is crazy. This is the first time I've seen those two been blocked out. I guess I also did choose all the like aggressive options with NASA now I think about it. Hey Reed.
A figure approaches from the shadows.
It is I, Faye, the dark mage of breaking up friend groups.
It's a bit heavy, I think, to place it all on
I
yourself,
think
you
that
know?
was a party effort.
Yeah, exactly, you know?
But, you know, telling Naomi to fuck off was a hell of a spell.
Quite a strong one at that.
Critical hit. You okay?
Define okay.
I'm not sure I have the mental capacity for that one.
Fair. Surviving?
Do you ever wonder what this is all about?
What do you mean?
This. All this bullshit.
See, the conversation we had with
Me,
Sage, I expected
the
to read,
Anti's
I felt
evil.
like.
They're always saying stuff like, everything happens for a reason. And, like, yeah, they're right. Somewhere this big hunk of space death probably broke off of some other destroyed thing. It blasted its way around, hooked onto the gravity of this, that, whatever, until it got here. Every step happened for a reason. It's just, none of those reasons had anything to do with us. Maybe when our planet gets fucked up,
Nihilism.
a big hunk of space death is gonna break off of us.
And maybe it all begins again.
Fly its way to the next one, where a bunch of folks get to look up and see this.
Very existential.
I know I shouldn't, but I like looking at it.
You shouldn't?
It's beautiful.
Why not?
It's.
I guess because it's a
funny.
sign of your the omen of your death,
When
but
you
still.
talk about it, Reed, that's when I feel like it all makes sense. Like it's all connected. Maybe the reason is just whatever gives us an excuse to be closer, to say what we need to. I'm glad that everything that's happening means I get to sit here with you, looking at the connective tissue.
Interesting way to describe it.
So, what happens next in L&L?
Next.
Yeah, I'm invested now.
Yeah, we got to know
We
what
have an
happened.
ending.
Right, I thought we got an ending, right?
Well, everybody dies.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah, didn't
like
that
us.
happen?
But that's not the end of the story.
Life goes on.
It's not?
The world
Yes,
keeps
everyone
marching.
is incinerated in space. But because you all did that, Braxis is dead and the universe is saved. And over millennia, all the dust that you were blown into gets, like, swirled up in space and collapsed into stars. So all the people you saved will look up in the sky and see you.
Oh, that's actually quite beautiful.
We're constellations.
Aww.
Connective tissue.
Sorry, how long has my mouse been on screen? Sorry.
I guess I should get back to everyone. Check in with my #1 dude, Nasser.
Ugh, yeah. Go be best friends. I'll
Go be
catch
best friends. See your extra content to read. There we go. So it is literally, I think it's literally only Rose that we missed, right? I'm trying to see my achievements. Which ones have I missed out on? See your extra content. Oh, and Naomi. There's also 2 other hidden ones, which I apparently haven't got. Hidden achievement. What's this one? Go to the Crystal Caves. We never went to the Crystal Caves? Friend of mine talked to everyone at the bonfire. Look, I would only do that if it was actually physically possible. I don't know. Is it physically possible to do Rosa and Naomi in the same run? I don't think so, right? Because one of the big decisions is going to the temple versus the caves. And that's basically Naomi versus Rosa. But there we go. All extra content to read. That was actually quite a nice discussion, I think, and it
nice
it
fight.
feels quite fitting as a way to sort of pull up his character arc, especially with him and his sad, depressing spiral that he's going in, the doom spiral, I suppose he's going down towards. But he still managed to pull up, and despite everything, you know, he can still see some sort of level of brightness in it, in a sense, through the medium of talking about LNL as a way to express his feelings, you know? I think there's something beautiful in that. And I suppose maybe to a certain extent I relate to it, you know? I tend to see myself as a positive nihilist myself, you know? You might be like, what does that mean necessarily? I suppose what I mean is that in a grand scheme of things, I guess nothing matters, you know? But well, to quote Night in the Woods, or to butcher the quote from Night in the Woods, is like, I believe in a world that doesn't care about people, but people that do. Well, in the grand scheme of things, the Earth is uncaring about whatever's happening in your life, you know? You live and then you will perish, and you will be nothing more than a blip, I suppose, in the millennia, thousands, hundreds, millions of years, which I suppose the Earth has been alive and awake for. But still within that time period which you're around for, you have the influence of hundreds of lives, probably.
Well,
Hundreds of people influence you, you will influence hundreds of lives at the same time as well. And I suppose that is the world, the local world, which matters, which cares, which still holds meaning with us, even if the grander scheme, the global world, doesn't. That's kind of how I tend to view things. So I think, you know, I can see myself saying something very readed, you know. We all die, but at the end, you know, we saved, well, not so much we saved the world, we saved our world, and then in a million years in the future, we become the constellations which the future generations may look at. Something like that, you know? I can subscribe to that. I can subscribe to that a lot. Yeah. I mean, I was going to go straight back into, like, talking about the full colour theorem, to be perfectly honest, but that doesn't feel appropriate now. Maybe I'll continue it, at least when the campfire scene is over. I don't even know what extra content we have to see with Naomi. I thought we saw everything, to be perfectly honest with her. Like, what other... does she have an extra scene? Because we went on a date with her.
I mean, I've made things fall apart.
There must be some extra scenes in LNL or something which we missed.
And I just don't know how.
We could try going on a date again. Because maybe we only, like... Oh, you know what? There's probably a difference between, like, sort of romancing her and then going, like, the full way romancing max affinity with her, right? That's my guess.
I really am.
Ha 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 ha. So funny, Naomi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what scenes I did miss out. Like, Rose's obviously missed out on the campfire scene. You know what? I wonder if it's the scene when fighting Braxis in LNL. That if you take too much damage, Naomi will heal you, essentially. I wonder if that's the one scene I'm missing. Or if there's actually just straight up more. I mean, I guess because we never went to the caves, there's probably some scene in the caves. Which I didn't see with Naomi, right? No, but then I got all of them with Sage, so I don't really know. I'm guessing. I do respect all the amicable sort of, like, heartbreak scene of that sort of thing. Being like, I don't see you that sort of way, you know, and Naomi getting her heart broken, but she, you know, she takes it reasonably well, to be all things considered. Still willing to be friends and help each other out, right? There's a sort of delicious sort of melancholic heartbreak within that.
You know what?
So I guess the next episode will be the final episode where, you know, despite the fact that we've seen everything which happened before, you know, it will be the actual finale to Goodbye Volcano High, to be perfectly honest. And then maybe I'll continue the proof of a full colour theorem. Or how much of I remember of it.
I am the obvious choice for Hype Man MC.
So we'll just sort of wait for this campfire scene to all sort of wrap up. I wonder what Rosa's campfire scene is like, because we definitely had the least interaction with Rosa. Because as I understand it, story-wise, everyone else in the group we were friends with for the entire time. Rosa's like the new one to the group. She's just sort of like here. been just introduced, right, to all of us?
Before this year, I had all these plans. And when my future became a maybe, I held
Yeah,
on.
I don't know what else I was
so
going to say
hard.
about this. To be perfectly
Too hard.
honest.
I'm sorry.
This isn't the song I just made us up. I couldn't even improv a song at that moment.
Who needs a future?
As I always say, the campfire scene is always, I think, one of the coolest scenes
We can't.
in this game, you know?
It's time.
Being able to see, I suppose,
I'm here
deeper
now.
sides to every single character is cool. So I certainly don't doubt
And I
about
can't
Rose's
think
campfire
of
scene is probably
any
really
better
cool as well.
tribute for the worm gods of music.
Worm Gods Music. This one we should burn it, right? I don't think it matters because we already
Yes.
reached max
I
affinity to
mean,
read,
it
but
does.
So, what do you say, Fang?
I didn't realise that. I wonder if it's possible to go through the entire game and not be able to have like a campfire scene with like Stella, Sage, or Rosa. I assume one of them must always be available by default, but can you be like mean enough to all three of them that none of them want to have a campfire scene with you? I don't know. Interesting thought, isn't it? I'm sure one of them must always be able to reach a minimum. Same with reading. I didn't know that NASA could actually straight up. You could not be close enough to NASA to even have a campfire scene. You know. It surprises me because I thought NASA would always be available because Reed is most of the time not available unless you choose every one of his options. Okay, save point. We're gonna round off this episode tomorrow. So if you haven't watching, thank you very much. This has been Goodbye Volcano. Well, not tomorrow. Goodbye Volcano High, and I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope you see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.